afternoon, Buffaloes fans. Welcome into episode 15, season 3 of the Buffaloes podcast. I'm your host, Graham, the G Show Forsyth. We are brought to you by all of Pilot Mountain's lovely sponsors and partners. We're also brought to you by Goaltenders, Movement Fitness, and Performance Elite Prospects, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, as well as Terrico. Anyone watching from within Manitoba, I hope everyone is staying safe on this Thursday, through the morning as well as through this afternoon and through the evening. A bunch of roads are being shut down right now. All of our programming for today in terms of our live broadcasts look like they probably will be canceled. We were also supposed to do a female U18 AAA hockey game last night, but that was also canceled due to the road conditions. So, hope everyone's staying safe as well as the teams down in Pilot Mountain, Manitoba. I know that there's not a lot of traveling being done this week. The furthest teams are going is to Winnipeg, but yeah, we'll keep an eye on if tonight's game is still going to be going. If we get any word on that, we'll let you know. But in a time where it seems like you have to think that the snow won't be as bad, coming up in April, there's going to be evaluation camps going on, so should be much nicer outside, and will be really nice to see all the players that will be coming out to Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy during this time to showcase their skills. And who knows, they could very well be playing their spot onto one of these 5 programs heading into next year. All information is available on PM Buffaloes as well as on their website at PilotMountainHockeyAcademy.com. To talk more about the evaluation camps, Gordie Tumilson joins the show next to not only talk about the evaluation camps, but also about how the teams in the academy fared this past weekend and what was supposed to be coming up this week as well. That's coming up next on the Buffaloes podcast for episode 15, season 3 on G Show Productions.
It's another recruitment type of themed edition of the Buffaloes podcast segment with Gordie Tumilson. Gordie, big news in terms of just spring programs being announced on the Academy's social media. Take us through the latest developments there, what more players can be looking forward to at this point.
Yeah, we're we're just starting again. We talked about recruitment last week with Rod Collins and myself, and everybody else, and our coaches and whatnot. Lots of meetings going on this month, so that we're set up to go, and we're able to announce that late in April we have our girls and boys. The 18th, I think, is to start with the U15 boys, and the U18 girls are on the 18th, and then the weekend following, we have the U18 boys and U17 boys, and then, of course, the new team. So they'll all be in there. I'll be munched in there. It'll be 5 teams worth of kids being selected. And these are the April evaluations that we have. We're going a bit later this year by a couple of weeks. And that's okay, because sometimes we got started a little too early, and some of the kids that were kind of hanging around in playoffs in the city here in Winnipeg and Manitoba, excuse me, and other places just weren't able to get to us. So we're going to be watching lots of video of all kinds of players along the way. And then, of course, the evaluations come in April. So we're pleased to announce that, and go to our website that has all the information. And you can sign up right there. There's the fee structures there, dates are there, and we have limitations to the number of kids we can take. So please get in early and get in there, and let's see who we can pick for our teams.
Yeah, quite exciting, and I think that could be very beneficial starting a bit earlier. Like you said, it has potential to maybe grab the attention of a few more players that may otherwise in other years still be playing some meaningful playoff games. Do you feel like that could potentially see an uprise maybe this year specifically and more top end talent potentially coming down to Pilot Mountain?
Well, that's always the hope. We know that some of the other academies and whatnot, junior teams have kind of mini camps, and there's all kinds of stuff happens, right, around the Easter break, and then shortly thereafter. So we're kind of positioning ourselves after that, just so we can take advantage of some of the kids that may not be sure if they're going to play for this team or that team, and being sure is part of the deal for kids, right? They want to be sure they're on a team, and when you're doing academy stuff and junior stuff, until you make the team, of course, you're not sure. So. The AAA guys don't make their final decisions until the fall. We do in the spring and early summer. So yeah, it's all timely, and we hope that the advantage goes to getting us some better top end players that can compete against the upper quartile of the CSSHL.
Of course, with a new team coming into the fold next year, this is going to be one of the busiest evaluation camps ever. Like Gordie said, you can check out all the information on pilotmounthockeyacademy.com, as well as they got all their information on PM Buffaloes on Instagram and other places on social media. Gordie, we're going to move into, I guess, the games that teams played this past weekend in the academy as yeah, just taking a look back at it, there wasn't a whole lot of winning, but overall, start off with, I guess, the U15s from this past weekend.
Yeah, the U15s were in Alberta, and they lost 3 games against probably the top 3 or 4 teams in the league. So that wasn't unexpected. Close games for the most part. So they got an experience, and they got those games out of the way. They have to play those games to kind of measure themselves against these better teams to see where we've come from the start of the year to where we are now. And of course, there's still improvement time after Christmas and New Year's break, so that we've got a couple 3 months to even get better than we are. And now we know how much better we need to be to compete with again the top upper quartile of this particular division in the CSSHL. It's a great division, and the kids are unbelievable. They just go all the time, and good for our guys to be able to compete a little bit on this weekend.
Yeah, and of course, it was their final games of
Right?
this portion of the schedule in 2025. They won't be back in action until January 24th, so technically a whole month off, Gordy, considering that, well, the most recent game would have been on the 14th of December in this month at that time. But now that this team has finished their 2025 portion of the schedule, they have some time to unwind, go back home for some of these players, all of these players being able to get some downtime. What do you feel like the U15s are gonna take from, I guess, this half and, put it into action moving forward in 2026?
Well, I'll comment on not only the U15s, but on probably most hockey programs. If you've got a good hockey program and they're teaching an awful lot, and you're giving the kids information, and the kids are trying to swallow all of that, and then they go and play against really good teams, against players they've never seen before, never the quality of players they've never come up against before, at least for in a whole team format. Um, they're going to kind of get some extra deep foundation sort of information, and quite often, and most times, I think players come back much better, surprisingly much better than when they left. The brain needs time to connect. You just can't jam a bunch of stuff in there and hope that everything fits and fits right away. Our youth, in particular, our U15s, they haven't traveled before. This is the first time they've been away from home. We got kids from all over the friggin' place, all over Manitoba, certainly Western Canada, States, and the Japanese guys. So there you go. I mean, and so it's um it's a busy time when they come to a new school, a different language. If you're from the southern states and you're playing in Canada, it's a different language, and accents and different people living on your own, having to do all that stuff. So, yeah, they'll come back better, better as individuals, and more understanding of what they've been taught, and that'll look good on them going into the next half of the season.
And for the U17s, their next game, or sorry, for the U15s, I moved on to the U17s already, Gordie. But yeah, for the U15s, I think a lot to look forward to given what
Yep.
they've achieved already. And like you said, after Christmas break, that's usually when we see huge improvement from all the teams in the academy. And as for the U17s, they were in some close games this past weekend, but overall, coming home winless, like mentioned, from Alberta, they went to Medicine Hat as well as Calgary, but they played a lot of good competition, Gordie, when we're talking about teams like Saha, Calgary International Hockey Academy, and Edge School. And I mean, at the end of the day, just great to know that this team's able to compete with this top end talent, isn't it?
Sure. I mean, we're close enough that we're not getting blown away in any of these games, and we're close and almost 1-1. So you know that you're there, and you know what their quality of player is going in, and what our guys are in terms of level of play. And yeah, to be within a goal or two of these other guys is great, and they just get better. I mean, that's all there is to it. We know that. It's interesting because I do a lot of goalie video, and quite often I use our U17 guys for as video for other kids in other teams in other leagues that I coach in, because the competition's really good and it's good hockey. And our U17 guys play a good brand of hockey, and Rick and Danny do a great job in coaching that team, and all the other coaches too. But they're very consistent, so we know what we're going to get out of them. And so I use the video that these guys, and I watch them, and I can watch our goalies, and we can see just what the Pilot Mound goalies look like in deference to a young player that might be in a U13 or U15 program somewhere else in North America that I talk to. So yeah, it's really neat to have good games like these guys play, and be able to show them off. And that's sometimes we get good players to come from other places because I show these games. Oh my God, we didn't think the hockey was that good, but it is. So there you go. Thank you.
A testament to how the CSSHL has been building throughout the years
Yep.
to this point where it's quite popular, as you know, Gordy, and our viewers. But one last game for this team coming up against RHA Winnipeg. That'll be tomorrow night at Blackjack Stewart Arena. Last time out, this team was able to come away with a 3-1 victory. RHA, I'm sure they're looking for revenge to try to go 3-1 on the season series as they won the first two. But what better way to end off the 2025 portion of the schedule for this team? Hey, Gordy, going up against their biggest rival.
Yeah, this U18 guys are just they've been amazing, to be quite honest with you. They went down to the States here this past weekend, and they lost a couple to an all-star team out of Minnesota, and so and now they're going to play the rink here on Wednesday, and it's very competitive, and all those good things are happening, and they've been super. So yeah, the U18 male team program has been a bit of a surprise, I think, and a very happy surprise for us in Pilot Mound, and in the program. Great on the coaching staff to gather together as good a team as they have. And if you look at I wrote in the newspaper just for this week in the Pilot Mound or the Hometown View newspaper in the area of Pilot Mound and Crystal City and Manitou, that they get kids from everywhere. My gosh, they get kids from Denmark and Europe and other parts of Europe and New Zealand and God knows where else. And then, a couple kids from right close to home. So it's a very international team. And they played pretty well going in, and we hope that they can beat RHA. But I'm sure it's going to be a competitive game, as it has. All three games have been really close. So yeah, whether they win or not, almost probably isn't important. But a win as always makes you feel better when you're getting on the bus to go home.
That game's going to be going in the rink training center. But what about for the U17s, Gordy? Pretty sure they're taking on RHA Winnipeg as well, right? Back at home tomorrow?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're right. And I jumped into the 18s there. My
No worries.
apologies. Yep. And yeah, the U8 17s have got them at home. We got them at home, and those our team is going to be competitive. U17 is a little bit better than our guys are going in on paper. That doesn't mean they win the hockey game because it's all effort and timing and doing all those kinds of things and getting timely saves by the goalies. We've got a great goaltending tandem in our two young guys, Gavin Hildebrand and Yuki Tito. I guess Gavin's going to draw this game, so he loves playing the rink. So. And he loves beating them even better. So we'll find out just how that game goes. But yep, it's going to be a fun game as well.
Yeah, two RHA programs in action from RHA Winnipeg taking on, well, one of each of the Buffalo's U17 prep and U18 prep programs. The U17s at home, the U18s on the road. As for the female U18s, Gordie, look at this. RHA Winnipeg coming up
Yeah.
in 2 days' time from this interview. So that's going to be going in Winnipeg at the Rink Training Center. But this Buffalo squad, the U18 female prep squad, ended up taking on Central Plains, the Capitals. Sunday afternoon, this past weekend. Close game on the scoreboard overall, but in the end, Central Plains able to come away with that victory against the Buffalo's U18 prep squad. Talk about this effort level, I guess. I'm assuming it was there for the U18 female
Yep.
preps. Take me through that past game.
Yeah, shots on goal were pretty close, and the game was pretty close. Just up and down game. It was neither team sort of overwhelmed the other guy. I think Central Plains is happy to have a few more what we call natural goal scorers or point getters. And if you get a break here and there, then you got an extra goal here and there. And so yeah, they knocked our girls off. But at the end of the day, it was a really good game, back and forth. No issues with effort, and we still we still have issues with goal scoring and point getting, but certainly effort is no issue with our team. And it was interesting to see in the evening after the game, the Central Plains kids, of course, went home, but there our girls they joined in as representing. They represented Pilot Mound Hockey Academy in the Pilot Mound Towns annual Christmas parade, Santa Claus parade. Not quite as large as some of the big downtown ones in New York, Toronto, Calgary, and Winnipeg, but at the end of the day, it was a nice parade, and they got on the team bus and or the in-town bus and marched along and drove along and joined in and had a great evening. So great team spirit on that girls' team there. They're a wonderful bunch to be around and a lot of energy. And it's unfortunate they don't win a little bit more, but they certainly, it's not for trying that they don't win those games. So good on the girls.
Yeah, and really a great day from what it sounds like, right? You play a competitive game against a team that's about middle of the pack in the MFHL and Central Plains, and this
Yep.
game was only 1-0 in favor of Central Plains after the first 40. Pilot Mountain got a goal in the third, but of course the Capitals able to have that big three-goal third period. But it's great to hear this group being able to come together afterwards and go around town and be able to represent the academy, near Christmas time. I think maybe we forget that sometimes Christmas, the true meaning of it is, spending time with family, giving back to
Yep.
those that care about you, those that you love, and great to know that this Buffalo squad, this group, not only close with each other but giving back to their community. This past Sunday, Gordie, as for them, they're going to be off until, well, 2 days time, where they'll be playing against RHA Winnipeg, where this game in itself, I mean, provincial pride, right? Manitoba program going up against another Manitoba program, and in this case, Pilot Mountain coming in as huge underdogs, maybe potential for an upset.
Well, sure. I mean, every time you step on the rink, upset's part of the deal, especially if you're not, if you're not expected to win. But you never know, and we might just find the goal scoring, point getting girl out there in our last game before Christmas, and off we go to the races in the new year. So, but we know the girls are going to put the effort in. We know defensively they're playing pretty well, so we expect it to be a close game, one way or the other. And if we can get some fortunate shots in the net and get a couple of goals, maybe we can pull one out of the bag.
Hey, any given night, it's anyone's game, and maybe this RHA Winnipeg team underestimates Pilot Mound a bit, and Pilot Mound looking to use everything they can to their advantage coming up on Thursday night. Gordie, always great to be joined by you. We won't be seeing you next week, but in a few weeks in the new year when we return for the Buffaloes podcast here in season three. Till then, Merry Christmas to yourself as well as your family, your loved ones. Happy holidays, and I hope you enjoy trying to get some rest this holiday season.
Oh, we'll get lots of rest. When you get to be my age, rest is very important. Merry Christmas to you and yours. And of course, to all of our viewers out there that join us every week, we really thank you for being with us. And we look forward to picking you up back in the first week of January.
Gordie Tumilson joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. We talked about, of course, the evaluation camps, the past weekend of games for the teams in the academy, and the few final games that were supposed to be coming up last night as well as tonight. But yeah, just news on that. I know last night's game, I just saw it on Pilot Mountain's Instagram. Their story has disappeared now, but last night's game against RHA had been canceled. I assume tonight's is also going to be canceled for the U18 female prep Buffaloes as road conditions all over the province, even close to the city, are being closed right now, and I don't imagine Pilot Mound, from where they gotta get from and where they gotta get to. I'm not sure that game is going to be happening tonight, but be sure to check out PM Buffaloes on Instagram as well as on many different other social media platforms to stay tuned to what the latest news on that game will be regarding that game tonight. And speaking of the U18 female prep Buffaloes, Ryan Craels, their head coach, is going to be joining me on the show next to talk about how this season's gone. But in bigger news for him in terms of family-wise, his son and Carson Craels currently trying out to try to make the U20 squad, the Canada World Junior team. Great to have a chance to get some insight in terms of how that process is going with Ryan Craels, and how proud the family is as well of Carson and his achievements so far. This is coming up next on the Buffaloes podcast on G Show Productions with Ryan Craels, head coach of the U18 female prep Buffs.
U18 female prep coach and Ryan Craels joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. Ryan, as we make our way into winter break here soon, this team has one more game on the schedule before we end things off and go into the winter break. How's the group feeling heading into tomorrow's matchup?
Oh, we're little short on staff lately. We got some injuries and some girls doing recovery. So, but it's good. Gives opportunities to the girls that are there, and hopefully they continue to step up and elevate their game.
This group finally got into the win column a few weekends ago now against Bourget College Prep. 4-3 victory for a team that, has been putting in the work, and the results have looked, grim at points this season. To be able to get that win, to get the monkey off the back, how special is that to witness and see it as a coach?
Oh yeah, that's always good for them to feel the reward of all their work, and just understand that the process is working. It's sometimes slower than they want. Most people want it to happen yesterday, and they don't want to accept that, but it's it can be a long process, especially when you got all kinds of caliber players from different areas, and it takes it takes a long time to get them different ages and get them up to speed, playing the right way. Um, it's especially hard for our girls. The first month or two is just a life adjustment. Is the biggest thing, managing their time and getting used to living away from home. So to be able to get a win is really nice. We played very well all weekend. I thought had few few injuries come out of that weekend, and then went into the next weekend at home that illness and stuff, but they're going in the right direction. So hopefully a good rest and recovery over the holidays, and they'll come back ready and rejuvenated.
Oh, no doubt. And talked to Gordie Tumilson today, and he says, and he said it before, but usually that's when teams in the academy start to see an improvement when they do come back from the winter/Christmas break. But you talk about process, and it seems like every single year there's quite a bit of turnover with this team in terms of players just aging out, or some players may end up, I don't know, choosing a different place to play, but usually it's just players aging out. So what's that process been like this year compared to other years now that you've, had those years under your belt? You're as experienced now as ever as a coaching staff, you and Kurt Fortney, and how you handle this group on a day-to-day basis, what that process has truly been like this year compared to others.
It's a young group, so it's they have to know that just playing against older girls that are more experienced is going to be a challenge. So they're coming in kind of as an underdog to start with. But that's okay. That's why they're there and making steps. I don't think there's any right or wrong path. It's just they're going to have to go through the go through the process, no matter how they want to look at it. So um, just the girls at the academies are getting that, opposed to a girl that's in their comfort zone at home. They don't have to deal with that. So making all those adjustments at the same time is just a big step for them. So some handle it well, and some play for a year and then they move back to somewhere closer, or where their parents are, or more familiar leagues, which is okay too. But they always have that experience, I guess, that they can rely on going into college or wherever they're going after their U18 hockey. So,
Yeah, prep lifestyle, like a hockey academy lifestyle, is a lot different than just playing AAA or playing for your local team, right? And quite an adjustment, like we've talked about, to basically go through getting used to a whole new regimen, from something that you break away from that you're very used to beforehand. But for this team moving forward, a team that for the past few years in my talks with Kurt Fortney, there's been a lot about the defensive side that's been talked about. For this group, when you feel like they'll reach their full potential this year, whenever that may be, what do you feel like is going to be the biggest strength for this team that they can rely on moving forward against the competition they'll go up against?
um, I guess just the defensive mindset. We have Everybody wants to go score a goal, but nobody knows the importance of blocking shots and defending well and good sticks and making those plays, taking pressure. Um, that's not really taught. I don't find everybody does skill work and stuff, but they don't teach compete and grit and do what it takes to win. So that's when we played Borgo College and won, they had that. We've had it in probably every game, but just in stints. So if we can put a full 60 minutes together, that's being disciplined and compete for the whole game. As soon as that comes together and they do it, we're going to be right in any game. So
Right.
I
And
just hope they feel the reward when they do the little things, opposed to everybody wants to get the goal, but we only need one goal to win.
oh, for sure, for sure. And I think just the the consistency aspect, it's such an interesting thing that you bring up, and it's something that I feel like it is such a huge part at this level is that the top end teams, they seem like they can consistently do those little things, provide those good habits throughout a full 60 or at least close to that. So, yeah, given that, I think this team has a lot of potential, and given that it's a very young group, very excited to see how this team continues to grow and continues to follow the process and how they'll continue to shape up for years to come. Speaking of defensemen, your son, Carson Craels, currently trying out for Team Canada's World Junior squad. Final roster will be named soon. Carson has a real good shot at making it. Just taking a look at the season he's had, he's been named top 25 CHL prospects this year too, and had a chance to play in the prospect games. So, you know, as his father, I mean, so many carols down in Pilot Mound. What's that experience been like, and to follow along with the updates you may be getting from him?
Yeah, it's a great experience for him. It's well deserved. He's earned it by, I guess, staying humble and understanding what he needs to do to win hockey games for the team. Never on individual accolades is, I think, why most of those guys are there is because they'll do what it takes to win hockey games. Very similar to what we talk about with my team. It's just he's just lucky that he has the a little bit more advanced for maturity that he understands that all, uh, which I think relates back to some of his years in Pilot Mountain where he learned how to defend really, really well under high pressure. And you weren't going to score 5 goals to win a game. You had to win a game 2-1. So defending is just as important as offense. So
Yeah, and I mean, throughout time, just getting to watch Carson from my time covering Pilot Mound, a very complete 200-foot player. And, you had, I guess, a special opportunity to be closer to him than most parents would be, coaching for the academy that he's playing on. So, of course, you get to see him, through the lens of being his father. But what was that like to see him grow truly as a hockey player throughout his time there in Pilot Mountain for the few years?
yeah, I coached him until he got to Pilot Mountain, and my brother Danny helped with that team. Um, it's he it's I think very important for a parent to be the parent instead of the coach at a certain level. Um, it's I don't know. It was good. He's like I said, it's sometimes it's hard on the kids to see them struggling, but that's life and that makes them better in the end. So it's uh it's all gonna benefit them. They just sometimes don't know it. But
No doubt. And I think Carson's benefiting pretty well from, I mean, his upbringing and everything that's led to this for him to not only be recognized by Team Canada, Hockey Canada, but could very well be a very high pick in the upcoming NHL entry draft. I got to ask you from just everyone else's perspective in the family, like what was the first reaction hearing that Carson was selected? Has there been nonstop chatter about this. The anticipation that he makes the team. Has that been among conversations?
well, he hasn't been home since the end of August, so we were hoping for 4 or 5 days just to relax and do nothing. But I guess we will make an exception if he makes the World Juniors. We'll be heading down to Minneapolis. Just it's just a great experience for everybody to be involved as a fan or a player, coach, anything in with Team Canada or in that situation is it'll be nice to be part of if he's there. We'll definitely be down there because that's what we that's what we all want. That's all we all play for is to be in those moments.
Oh, no question about it. And I think what would be really cool to see Carson Craels, he's been in a Team Manitoba jersey and now has a chance to potentially represent Canada at the biggest U20 stage internationally. It's going to be quite exciting. Assuming he makes it and you guys have a chance to go down to Minneapolis and get to reconnect with him. Like you said, haven't seen him in August, so I'm sure that'll be a special moment. And yeah, going to be special to see what your team that you coach in Pilot Mountain is going to be able to cook up for the upcoming year in 2026 for that portion of the schedule in this 2025-2026 season. And of course, best of luck coming up in tomorrow night's game against, or I guess 2 days from now against RHA Winnipeg down at the Rink Training Center. Thank you so much, Ryan, for taking the time.
Thank you very much for having me, Graham.
Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, The Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store.
And welcome back into the Buffaloes podcast, episode 15, season 3 here on the network. And yeah, it's just joined by Ryan Craels, the head coach of the U18 female prep Buffaloes, and also the father of Carson Craels, who, well, is almost on the final roster at this point. He survived the latest rounds of cuts from last night's exhibition game against Team Sweden. Center Jack O'Brien, winger Merrick Vanaker, and defenseman Jackson Smith were all let go after that game last night. So for Carson, he, last time I checked, was over a point per game with the Prince George Cougars this year. He was recognized as a top 25 prospect in the entirety of the CHL. So that's with the WHL, OHL, and QMJHL combined. And everywhere this guy's gone, he's been able to produce. The kid is a stud, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him cracking Team Canada this year. Now, in terms of the playing time he'll get, maybe we won't see much of Carson Craels throughout the tournament just due to his age, him being a bit on the younger side, right? He's still 17 years old, but hey, I mean, if I'm with Team Canada, let's say I'm in that position of selecting the team, I think that you got to select the best talent available. I don't think they exactly did that last year. It seems like that has been rectified a bit as they got quite a loaded team on paper. I know that Michael Misa up front of the San Jose Sharks has been loaned. They're going to be led by guys like Gavin McKenna up front too, right? But yeah, for Carson Craels, what an experience it would be for him to make this team, and I think that he's got a pretty darn good shot. Carson has a really good ability to provide exactly the role that his coach needs of him to be able to be effective out there. And speaking of, well, studs from Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy that have been on this program, even though he's not an alumni, he's still with this program. Playing with their U18s, he's a player that we could potentially be seeing donning a Team Canada jersey World Junior 2 at some point soon, and that's Cole Landerville, who the CSSHL did a bit of a preview on, or not a preview, a profile on Cole Landerville recently. Take a look.
St. Claude, Manitoba, and I play for the Pilot Mountain Buffaloes. As a hockey player, some of my strengths would be my speed, 200-foot game, compete level, just kind of buzzing around, getting in the dirty areas, and all around just big compete guy, love to win. Short-term goals this year would be to win a championship with the Buffaloes, and as of long-term, obviously make junior, play in the WHL is my goal, and to make a career out of hockey, whether that's in the NHL or an European League. On and off the ice, what I'm working on is just my first 3 strides to get faster, and obviously my shot as well. And then off the ice, I'm working on to get stronger, just in the gym every day and to get a better shot in the shooting bay. I model my game after Zach Benson because I'm not a big guy and he's also not a big guy, and I just like to watch him, how he uses his body in the corners, gets an open ice, and great playmaker as well, and I think that fits kind of my model.
And Cole Landerville, I mean, what a dynamic talent he has been, and quite an addition for this year's U18 prep squad in Pilot Mountain, Manitoba. Of course, he'll be back in action with his Buffaloes. Coming up on, late January is when they'll be back in action next, and as for the rest of the teams in the academy, well, they'll all be back in action coming up in the new year at this point. I got a feeling that today's game against RHA is going to be canceled just due to travel, even though it's within province. Road conditions have been terrible here. Ever since the big snowfall that started throughout the early morning, throughout the night. I hope everyone is staying safe, as already talked about. And for us, seems like it's going to be a less busy day because of this. We were actually supposed to be in Beausejour originally today. That was canceled yesterday. And they're even thinking of canceling St. Boniface and St. Vital, 2 teams that are in the city to play each other in the MMJHL. So, yeah, it's a true snow day here. And, well, in terms of the snow, that didn't faze the folks down in Pilot Mountain, the student athletes who had a chance to spread some Christmas joy around the good old small town of Pilot Mountain, Manitoba.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bell swing and jingle bells ring. Snowing and blowing up bushels of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bell chime and jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air.
Great to see some fun being had in the snow, being able to spread some Christmas cheer, some Christmas joy around Pilot Mountain, Manitoba. As, hey, the big day, it's about a week away at this point, which means heading into next week with no games left on the schedule, not much really to talk about. This is going to do it for, the first half of Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy podcasts that are going to come out during this 2025-2026 season. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to this episode, as well as all of our other episodes, if you have been up until this point, up until episode 15 here in season 3. We want to give a special thanks to Terrico, Goaltenders Movement, Fitness, and Performance, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, as well as Elite Prospects for sponsoring this edition of the show, as well as to Pilot Mountain sponsors and partners for continuing to support our coverage, as well as Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy in the World of Hockey in the CSSHL. And also a special thanks, of course, to Gordie, Tumilson, and Ryan Craels for coming on to the show. Hoping we get the most positive news of Carson Craels making the World Junior team, but if he doesn't, still a great experience for the kid anyways. And yeah, as for us here at G-Show Productions, we want to wish you a wonderful holidays and a Merry Christmas to those who celebrate. Take some time to wind down, recoup, and get ready for what's going to be a fantastic new year of hockey coming up, where, as me and Gordie Tumilson talked about, usually once the break hits and then players come back from the break, that's usually when we start to see the best come out from all the teams here in the academy. And looking very much forward to that potentially being the case coming up in 2026. As for myself, Graham, the G Show Forsyth, we're going to have some other great content still coming out up until now, until Christmas. Stay tuned on our YouTube, as well as check us out on gshowproductions.uscreen.io. So that's where all of our live game broadcasts go, the games that we cover for all the 3 leagues we cover here in the province of Manitoba in terms of high school hockey, female U18 AAA hockey, and MMJHL hockey as well. As always, Tyson Unro, Juno Award winner, is going to leave us off with the March of the Buffalo Anthem. Until 2026, Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy fans, we'll see you then. Take care, happy holidays, and Merry Christmas, as I said. It's Graham Forsyth giving you the peace out and waving so long on 2025, everybody. We'll see you in 2026.